I welcome my spiritually bent and select viewers to my 110th video of my YouTube channel Writer Sandanam Speaks. Nowadays it is a horrifying experience for me to put on the TV, which is only telecasting the devastation and destruction of life and properties of the West Asian countries, namely Israel and Palestinians, who are at war against each other. It is not the first time they are at war. Right from 1948, the year when the Israel came into existence, this mutual killing is going on. While the Jews claim Jerusalem as their homeland, the Palestinians who are settled in the adjacent Gaza Strip claims the land is theirs. But the fact is, Jews and Palestinians are blood brothers, as they are the members of the same ancestral home. While Palestinians embraced Islam midway, the Israelites remained as Jews. According to Islam, even Jesus Christ is a prophet, like Muhammad, peace be upon him. Under similar situations, the Russians and their brothers Ukrainians are still at war against each other for more than 2 years in another part of the globe. I am no politician or a political analyst nor a historian to bring to the attention of the viewers and to pinpoint as to who is on the right side and who is on the wrong side. But as a viewer of TV and reader of newspapers, and above all, a public-minded person, I am sad to see the innocent lives being lost in the name of religion, in the name of nationalities at all. While I am depressed as a concerned, powerless citizen of the world, I have nowhere else to look up to excepting to listening to the words of the wise, who from ancient times have been talking and teaching the oneness of human brotherhood. One such voice I recently listened to is none else than the much admired Persian poet Maulana Jalaludin R U MI, who ultimately was born in Persia, the present land of battlefield between Jews and Palestinians. So I hereby share with viewers my anguish and wisdom, and thereby some solace, by reciting some of the poems of the Jalaludin R U MI, who was a Sufi mystical poet and spoke of the spiritual world, that is man's ultimate destiny, by borrowing the literary genre, the poems, which speak of peace among human brotherhood. This is the pocket edition of R U MI I have recently purchased, published by Shambhala, South Asian Editions. The topic of my script today is quotation from Jalaludin R U MI. The quotation is, "All have come from the same home." Born on 30th September 1207 at Balkh, now in Afghanistan, Maulana Jalaludin R U MI was a teacher to start with in a madrasa. Later his family fled from the invasion of Genghis Khan and settled at Turkey. Coming from a spiritual and scholarly family, his father was named Sultan of Scholars, by the way. The turning point in his life came in his 37th year, when he stumbled into the dervish, a wandering sage called Shams Tabriz, with whom he had friendship for 4 years. One day the sage Tabriz disappeared from the scene, which led ultimately R U MI to take to pourings of immortal poems in Persian language. The voluminous poems have been categorized under Rubaiyat, Ghazals, and Masnavi. Considered as the greatest of Sufi mystic poets, R U MI is endearingly quoted by the readers all over the world, even at restaurants. A word about the Sufism. Sufism is a mystical, naked spiritualism stripped of religious dress and rituals. Overlooking the conventional religious traditions, the Sufi poets like Rumi shock you and wake you up from your religious slumber and usher in spiritual awareness, which is the ultimate goal of humanity. In this respect, he can be favorably compared with our Indian mystical Sufi poet Kabir, on whom I had already put out a video. In my mother tongue Tamil too, there is a category called the Siddha poets, whose unconventional poems remained one that of Rumi. In the course of this talk, I may cite the poetic connections by quoting a few comparative poems. Without losing much time, let me delve deep into Rumi's sea of mysticism and bring out a few spiritual pearls for the viewers. The first one reads on page 14. It is from Rubaiyat. You were an ascetic, and I turned you into a singer. You were mute, and I turned you into a bard. Within the universe, no one knew your name, nor any sign of you. I set you down and made you a revealer of secrets. What is the secret wisdom Rumi heard from God? It reads like this. We are puppets in the hands of God. The power is His. We are all beggars. Why are we always trying to outdo each other when we have all come from the same home? By the way, that is the topic of my talk today. Here, home indicates two homes, one earthly and the other heavenly. These warring Israelites and Palestinians, through their ancestors, belong to the same earthly home, including Jerusalem. But being members of the same family, have originated from the heavenly home, the Garden of Eden, under one Father. Under the category Ghazals, Rumi reveals the origin of the universe and subsequent evolution of human beings. On page 63, from mineral substance you became a living plant and later a roving animal. Is this a secret? Afterwards, as a human being, you developed reason, consciousness, faith. See how this body has risen from the dust like a rose. When you have surpassed the human state, your angelic nature will unfold in a world beyond this world. Surpass the angels then and enter the sea. When I read this, I was pleasantly surprised that Rumi's biological words were echoed from our Tamil spiritual poet, sage Manikavasara. In one of his poems, he says this. Is this from Thiruvasagam, the book written by the spiritual poet Manikavasara? புல்லாகி பூடாய் புழுவாய் மரமாகி பல்விருகமாகி பறவையாய் பாம்பாகி கல்லாய் மனிதராய் பேயாய் கணங்களாய் வல்ல அசுரராகி முனிவராய் தேவராய் சொல்லா செல்லான் என்ற தாவர சங்கமுத்துள் எல்லா பிறப்பும் பிறந்தடைத்தேன் எம்பெருமான். Since it simply echoes the words of Rumi, it doesn't need further translation or explanation. In another similar poem from Masnavi, page 144. Rumi asks, when did I become less by dying? Here, Rumi's words indicate rebirths of the soul, parallel to Buddhism and Hinduism. One Masnavi poem reveals on page 176. Sorry, 76. Don't take a wooden sword into battle. Go find one of steel. Then march forward with joy. The saint's protection is the truth's sword. The saint's protection is the truth's sword. What Rumi meant by taking up the sword of truth is to kill man's internal enemies like greediness, anger, false pride within oneself, and not his imagined next door neighbor. Rumi's battlefield is one's own mind, the seat of Satan. But man throughout history has misinterpreted it as outside enemy. That is why in another revealing poetic sentence, the poet says, ask the meaning of the Quran from Quran alone, implying not from the misinterpreting preachers. Again, I was reminded of the Tamil song which uses the simile truth's sword. The same Manikya Vasaga says, Naman Marin Jnana Valgonde Erivan. Translated, when I meet the God of death, I will throw at him my sword of truth. Which means, I will not repeatedly die and repeatedly reborn. I will become a Jivan Mukta, a human God while living. There is equally a comparative statement between mystical Sufi poet Rumi and a Tamil Sufi or Siddha, namely Pattinatha. On page 57, Rumi's song says, my friend, you thought you lost him, that all your life you have been separated from him, filled with wonder. You have always looked outside for him and have not searched within your own house. Now the Tamil verse from Pattinatthar says, உனக்குள் நீ நின்று உலாவினதை காணாமல் நானென்று இருந்து நலமொழிந்தேன் பூரணமே. Which means, instead of discovering you, O God, inside me, I lost my good self. Finally, listen to the immortal Masvini verse from the immortal Rumi on page 144. Everything is perishing except his face. His is capital, face is capital. That is God. I shall become that which could never be imagined. I shall become non-existent. Non-existence sings its clear melody. Truly unto him shall we return. Here, the 20th century world-renowned sage of Tiruvannamalai of Tamil Nadu, Sri Ramana Maharishi, is worth quoting. He looks like shaking hands with the 13th century Rumi. Ramana Maharishi says, your glory lies where you cease to exist. Simply echoing Rumi's sentence. The more one reads Rumi, more one is convinced that God, the maker of this universal tie, because it is illusion, is the only reality. God is the only reality. and all else is transient, illusory, and unreal, towing the Upanishadic wisdom that all our knowledge is within the network of Maya, the great illusion. Instead of destroying the ego, the seat of greediness and false pride, man has been indulging in purposeless wars, as we have been witnessing throughout history, including the present Russian-Ukraine war and Israel-Palestinian internecine war between brothers. Anyway, as mortality is our destiny, one is sure to meet the greatest Sufic mystical poet, Maulana Jalaludin R U MI, in the war-free zone called Heaven, reading out his immortal and enjoyable poems amidst the avid listeners, which may include, among others, the good souls, like our former Indian President, Dr. Avil Pakir Jainulauddin Abdul Kalam, who once quoted, which I heard it in person on an earthly platform at Bengaluru, the Jalaludin R U MI. Rumi's wise words. The words are quotation. Animals are free because of ignorance. Sages are free because of wisdom. Thank you.